An expert panel from Health Canada thinks so-called energy drinks being sold out there, everything from Red Bull to Jolt, should only be sold under the direct supervision of a pharmacist, as if that's all they have to do. This comes at the heels of an Ontario farmer named Michael Schmidt being found guilty on Wednesday for selling raw milk to members of his raw milk club. What's going on with libertarianism? To answer that question, we are joined from Calgary by radio host and Live and Let Liver, Rob Breakenridge. Thanks for joining us, Rob.
Good to talk to you, Mark.
Good to talk to you as well. So, energy drinks now, you need a pharmacist's permission to go and buy one of these Red Bulls and Jolts.
Right. Well, you just might, and this is this is a nanny state run amok, nanny state on steroids, if you will. So Health Canada convenes this expert panel. They come back with this absurd recommendation. And what's concerning about it is the health minister is still waiting to say whether or not they're going to adopt this, rather than just come right out and say how ridiculous it is. Now, just to give you some indication, you walk into a Starbucks, you order one of their big coffees, you're going to be getting something that contains somewhere in the neighborhood of 300 milligrams of caffeine. You go down to Tim Hortons, you get yourself a nice frosty iced cappuccino, you're going to be walking away with something that contains in the neighborhood of 150 milligrams of caffeine. Now, you walk into your store, your neighborhood corner store, you slap down $3 for a can of Red Bull, you're getting something that contains 80 milligrams of caffeine. You go in that same cooler, grab 2 cans of cola, already you've got more caffeine than you've got in that Red Bull. And yet this expert panel says nothing about coffee, says nothing about cappuccinos, frappuccinos, lappuccinos, whatever they are, nothing about that, nothing even about cola, only on energy drinks. So the Starbucks barista will still pour you a coffee, the Tim Hortons clerk will still pour you a nice cappuccino, but under this proposed scenario, you would have to go to a pharmacist in order to get a can of Red Bull or Monster. I mean, it's insanity, and so I really can't see the health minister and Health Canada adopting this, but the fact that they haven't rejected it out of hand is concerning to me.
Well, if it's the caffeine they're going after and not the sugar content, I mean, I'd have to have a pharmacist follow me around all day on a leash, because I'll go through 20 to 30 cups of coffee a day, and well, exactly. That's a hell of a lot of caffeine. So, I mean, I need somebody to help me then. I mean, I need a pharmacist.
Clearly.
To pour my coffee.
You know, yeah, it's a very knee-jerk reaction. I mean, these energy drinks seem new to people. They seem weird. They seem aggressive with names like Red Bull and Monster. You know, people are freaking out over these. And, you know, it's sort of that perception. You say to someone, hey, let's go grab a coffee. I mean, that's normal social discourse. You say to someone, hey, let's go grab some energy drinks. People are going to think you're some kind of maniac. But, I mean, it speaks to all these stereotypes about these drinks. But why don't we stay in the realm of facts and evidence? If we're going to talk about caffeine levels in drinks, let's talk about all caffeinated beverages. It seems pretty reasonable to me.
Well, I didn't know.
Let people make their own decisions too.
Yeah, well, I didn't know until you just told me. I always assumed that the Jolts and the Red Bulls and those kind of drinks had like 50,000 times the amount of caffeine in them as a regular coffee would. I assume that's why the kids were buying it up and using them to study all night, when they could just as easily and more cheaply just drink regular old coffee.
I remember my high school cafeteria sold coffee, so you know, we're not too worried about some forms of caffeine. It'd be like saying, well, we don't want kids to drink beer, but we don't mind if they drink wine. I mean, you know, come on, let's get reasonable here.
But you'd have to drink about 3 Red Bulls to get the equivalent of 1 Starbucks coffee, is what you're saying.
Yeah, basically, and maybe even more. But yeah, depending on the size, there's a whole lot more in a Starbucks coffee than what you get in a can of Red Bull. Okay. Indeed.
And what about this poor schmuck in Ontario now who this farmer who wisely set up a club? He knew there were some laws against selling raw milk on the market, so he got a club of people who wanted his product, the raw milk, and now he's been found guilty of doing this. I mean,
once again, it's a case of the government deciding on your behalf what you should and shouldn't drink. Now, I'm not one for raw milk. Doesn't appeal to me, but it appeals to other people. No one's under any illusion as to what they're buying here. They're not being tricked into buying something else. But here's the absurdity of the law. If you're a dairy farmer, you own a cow, you can drink milk from that cow. You can just put your mouth right on the udder and just drink away. The other thing is, if you're a dairy farmer and you own that cow, you can legally drink it. You can serve it to your children every single day. That's no problem. As soon as you or I come along as a consenting adult and say, Mr. Dairy Farmer, I'd like some of that raw milk here, let me compensate you for that, all of a sudden now you've committed a crime. And this Michael Schmidt, this farmer in Ontario, he was vindicated by a court last year.
That's right.
This week,
he's
though,
been acquitted once already, and they come back to get him again. They're persecuting the man.
Well, now they're going after him again. 15 of 19 charges they say he's guilty of. Now, the way this is going, the fines could total into the millions of dollars against this guy. And he's not even technically selling raw milk. He's got a cow share operation because the law says if you own a cow, you can drink that cow's milk. Well, what he's saying then is, okay, well, let's all own a cow together. You give him money. You're not buying the milk. You're giving him money to own a piece of that cow, and then you're just drinking milk from the cow that you own. But
all he's really doing is feeding and milking the collective cow.
Right, exactly. And
he owns a piece of it. Six other people own a piece of it. So he'll say, look, I'll do you a favor. I'll get my milk I'll do the job. I'll do the work. I'll milk it and I'll feed it.
That's exactly how it works. I mean, some of his customers, for example, are top chefs in Toronto who use this milk in their recipes. So this is what requires government intervention. This is why we need to treat this guy like he's some kind of crack dealer. I mean, we've had SWAT team raids on his farm. It's just unbelievable because he's giving consenting adults a product they want and a product they could legally drink themselves if they own the cows. So, I mean, this is just insane. The way we're trampling over his freedoms, the way we're trampling over the freedoms of those who simply want to buy this product from him because it's something they prefer to drink. The government is saying, well, no, we need to protect you from yourself because that's not a decision we really want you to make.
And you're not wrong either when you sort of, you think you're exaggerating when you say he's had SWAT team type reactions. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah, absolutely.
They went in there in full force and took his cows away, his milk away, and charged the poor man. Anyhow, thank you so much for bringing some insights to this. I hate nanny statism. So do you. Thank you, Mr. Breakenridge. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Mark.